Welcome to video number 6. This is a video about writing your personal statement.
So your 500 to 800 word personal statement is the most important of the 4 main parts of your charity application. Now, in general, the important things to remember in this statement are, number 1, to make it certain and to make it very clear that your course is vocational, i.e. that it is essential in getting you a desired job. Even if you're a research student, you can say that, well, you want to go into academia, you want to be a lecturer, and a PhD is an essential qualification for achieving that. Also, show your passion for your course. Now, charity applications can be a bit less formal than applications for public scholarships, and use that to an advantage to really play your strongest cards and show why this course really matters to you. Next, try and tailor your application with the odd line or two to a charity's priorities, maybe showing how you hit its eligibility criteria or just any other idea that you have based on what you've read about it. You don't need to go too far with this though, because you want to be able to reuse the vast majority of your application to one charity in your application to others. Next, remember, specifically and particularly if you are a research student, describe your research in easy to understand, everyday layman terms and show how it might benefit society in some way if you can. Finally, make the charity feel as though it is part of a bigger plan. Make it feel as though it is part of an overall funding strategy. Although charities are philanthropic bodies, they want to be able to give their money to students who they think will really use it wisely. And what that means is saying exactly how much you want from them, maybe £1,500 or something like that. They'll probably give you some guidance on the kind of awards they generally make, and how that relates to your overall deficit that you're facing. So maybe you have a £5,000 deficit and you're asking that charity for £1,500. The charity is going to want to know how you're going to fund the remaining £3,500. Just give them a general impression that they aren't the only player in this, that they are a partner rather than a provider in a general, larger funding strategy.
To get more of an idea of the key do's and don'ts of writing your personal statement, have a look at the 3 example statements on our website. The first statement by Opal is the model personal statement. She has a clear funding plan showing the charity how they will fit into her overall funding strategy. She uses easy to understand language and has a modest tone. The second statement by Lawrence is let down by its argument, despite him having an excellent academic record. He uses overly complicated language to explain his research, doesn't have a clear financial plan, and doesn't explain his future career intentions. The third statement by Julian is an example of how not to write a personal statement. There are multiple spelling mistakes, no financial plan, overuse of academic language, and shows lack of drive.
Now you might also want to check out our advanced application techniques section. And this will give you some tips dependent on what kind of a student you are, master's student, PhD student, and what you want the money for, maybe research, travel, conference expenses, 4th year PhD study, etc. Now, to a large extent, charity applications and the arguments that you use in your personal statement are generic, but nevertheless, you might get a little bit by having a look at some of this additional advice. There are additional sections here on 4th year PhD study, research, travel and conference expenses, master's students, PhD students, international students, part-time students, and also mature students as well. These tips aren't essential, but they might allow you to turn what is a strong application into a really outstanding one. Finally, you might want to also check out our personal statement assistant. Now, this is a really useful tool which gives you paragraph by paragraph guidance on how to write a winning personal statement with prompts and with notes before each paragraph. This is a really useful way of ordering your ideas and making sure you don't miss anything out.
Okay, so I'm now going to introduce Personal Statement Assistant, a very handy utility which will help you write your personal statement. You can easily get to Personal Statement Assistant because there's a tab here in the top right hand corner and it's always here. So let's just click on that. Here's the personal statement main area. So let's click Write New Statement. Now it's very, very important to read the guidance which is here before the personal statement assistant itself, because this will give you a good idea of the kind of things that you should be writing. It's also a very good idea to check out the model personal statement as well, which you can actually get to here. This is a model personal statement. Obviously the student in question here isn't going to be exactly the same as you, but nonetheless you may get a general idea of the way you should go about things. So as you can see, the personal statement should be divided into 5 paragraphs: introduction, your plan, your course studies or research, your financial circumstances, and a concluding paragraph. Now here's the statement assistant itself. So we give the statement a name, probably best for that to relate to the charity that you're applying for. Let's say in this case it's the Leather Sellers Company. And as you can see here, there are boxes for those 5 main areas. Now you can hover over the question mark here, and this gives you the kind of things that you should write about in this paragraph. So for example, we've got introduction here. It's advising you to say that you are applying to overcome a deficit in your funding package. Say what you need the money for, whatever it might be. Say the reason you have a shortage in funds, and why and how you meet the charity's eligibility criteria. So as long as you've got those 4 things there in your opening paragraph has done its job. Similarly to your plan, this is how you see the charity fitting into your overall funding plan, overall funding package. There are also 3 bullet points. You don't need to make them in the order that they are here, but at the same time it is a good idea to include all of these things, and you can see that the other 2 paragraphs have got these as well. Personal Statement Assistant is really just a guided writing tool, but it is very, very useful because it enables you to put all of your points in there in a logical order and make sure you don't miss anything out. So I'm not obviously going to write this right now. I'll just put entries, very small entries in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll push save. You can save your statements and you can go back and edit them later. Now, here we are. Here's the entry for the personal statement we put in there. Here is one I prepared earlier for the Stapley Trust. Now, as you can see, all these fields are filled in. You can update these statements and delete them. So, for example, obviously I can update this, and then I'm able to type in these areas and update them as I go along. Also, you can download the statement as well, which is quite handy. As a text file, and that will enable you to obviously copy and paste it maybe into Word, print it out, work on it offline, etc. So that's Personal Statement Assistant, a really useful tool to help you organize your statements and order your ideas.
Thanks for listening. Please click on the Read More About It link at the bottom of the page for more information.